So you have this country, Namibia, with just over 3 million people, and a tiny handful of families control an absolutely extraordinary amount of wealth. But how did they do it? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the blueprints of Namibia's biggest fortunes. We're talking everything from global runways and corporate boardrooms to the unbelievable journey of going from a bricklayer's tools to a billion-dollar empire.
I mean, how does somebody go from laying bricks back in the 1950s to becoming the richest person in their entire country? Or how does an athlete's record-breaking sprint on a track turn into generational wealth? And look, these aren't just some abstract questions. They are real stories from Namibia that show the wild, diverse, and often pretty surprising ways people make it to the very top.
You know, in a country as vast and spread out as Namibia, wealth gets incredibly concentrated. A really small group of families are holding fortunes that were built in completely different ways, and their stories give us this fascinating look into the country's unique mix of old-school legacy, modern-day celebrity, and just pure, relentless entrepreneurial grit.
Okay, first up, let's look at the modern way to get rich, fame. This group built their fortunes right in the public eye, cashing in on their incredible talent in music, sports, and fashion.
The variety of modern wealth here is just fascinating, isn't it? You've got music industry giants like King TeeDee right alongside a star footballer like Dion Hodo. But what's really interesting is when you look at someone like Gaza. He didn't just make music and stop. No way. He used that fame to build a whole business empire, launching his own record label and even a brand of mineral water. It's a super clear lesson, right? In today's world, talent is the starting point, but building a powerful brand, that's how you really grow the fortune.
Just think about that for a second. The power of a legacy that literally cannot be beaten. That is the story of Frankie Fredericks. Back in 1996, he set a world indoor record for the 200 meters that still stands today. That one incredible achievement became the foundation for his family's $20 million fortune, and now it fuels his foundation, which is all about finding and supporting the next generation of amazing Namibian athletes.
So, from the running track to a completely different kind of runway, Behati Prinsloo's journey to becoming a global fashion icon is another amazing example of Namibian talent just taking over the world stage. She was discovered as a teenager, and she just rocketed to the top, walking for legendary brands like Prada and becoming a household name with Victoria's Secret. And along the way, she built a family fortune of around $30 million.
Okay, so we've talked about individual fame. Now, let's switch gears and talk about dynastic power. This next group of families, well, their wealth has been built up over generations, and it's deeply tangled up with the nation's political and corporate history. And right here, you can see two totally different kinds of dynasties. On one side, you have the Nujima family. Their influence started with Namibia's very first president. Today, that legacy is channeled into philanthropy, focusing on things like national development and conservation. Then, on the other side, you have the Pipkiewicz family, who built their empire firmly in the corporate world. Harold Pipkiewicz became an absolute powerhouse in construction and sat on the boards of the country's biggest companies.
So the thing you have to understand about a dynasty like this one is the sheer scale we're talking about. Althaver & List, which is now chaired by Sven Thieme, is this massive conglomerate. I mean, we're talking about one of the largest employers in the entire country. Their influence isn't just in one little area. They are huge players in everything from brewing beer to dairy products. It makes their family's business a true cornerstone of the Namibian economy.
And Althaver & List, they're not alone, not by a long shot. The business landscape is really dominated by these powerful investment firms that are steered by influential families. Companies like Capricorn Holdings, Nictus Holdings, and Stimulus Investments, they hold huge stakes across all sorts of sectors, creating this tightly woven web of corporate power that really shapes where the whole national economy is headed.
And that brings us to our final and maybe the most dramatic stories of them all. These are the people who didn't inherit an empire or a famous last name. No, they built everything from the ground up.
This quote really just captures the whole rags to riches idea perfectly. It's about Quinton van Rooyen, a man who would go on to build a billion-dollar fortune. But his journey didn't start in some fancy boardroom or with a family inheritance. It started on the ground floor, working a job as a security guard. It's just such a powerful reminder that massive ambition can come from the most humble beginnings.
So what did he build? Well, this. In 1992, Van Rooyen founded Trustco Group Holdings. From that security guard post, he created a giant in financial services. Today, Trustco is a major force in banking, insurance, and asset management, and Van Rooyen himself is the majority shareholder of this billion-dollar company.
But there's one story that really just stands above all the rest. This timeline here shows the absolutely incredible journey of Frans Indongo. His career started back in the 1950s with manual labor. He was a bricklayer. From there, he started his own business, the Indongo Group, and over a lifetime of hard work, he built it into this colossal empire, becoming the richest person in all of Namibia.
And here's the result of that entire journey: a net worth of $1.5 billion. It's a staggering number that really hammers home that bricklayer to billionaire story, doesn't it?
His influence is literally woven into the fabric of daily life in Namibia. I mean, the Indongo Group is this diverse powerhouse. You'll see his name on major car dealerships, on iconic buildings in the capital city, and even behind the food you see on supermarket shelves. He didn't just build a company, he built a legacy that's a huge, inseparable part of the country's economy.
So after going through all of these incredible personal journeys, let's zoom out a bit. What is it about Namibia's economic DNA that even makes these kinds of massive fortunes possible?
Right? Because stories like these, from politics, sports, business, they don't just happen out of nowhere. They're all fueled by the unique economic environment of Namibia itself.
And it really boils down to three key things. First, Namibia is incredibly rich in valuable natural resources like diamonds and uranium. But, resources alone aren't enough. The country has also had decades of political stability and pretty effective economic management. And all that together creates the fertile ground where businesses can really thrive and individuals can build these massive fortunes. So, as we look at all these different paths to the top, you've got the inherited power of dynasties, the flash of modern stardom, and the just relentless grit of self-made billionaires. It leaves us with a really big question. When you break it all down, what's the most essential ingredient for building a fortune? Is it the legacy you're born into, a single breakthrough moment, or is it just an unstoppable will to build something from nothing? As Namibia shows us, the answer is never that.